You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you and your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Folks, well, happy Friday night. It is time for Robinson and Wright right here on KLRNradio.com. I'm one half of the crew, Mr. Rick Robinson. He's the other half, Mr. Dan Wright. And if I start muting myself quite a bit, folks, you'll have to bear with me. I'm a little bit under the weather, and so's my state, because we're under 6 inches of snow, so it's been really, really fun. Anyway, good evening, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing good, and we're approaching that, too. I am in, believe it or not, North Carolina. And as I look out my window, it's about whiteout conditions, and we've gotten about 2 inches of snow in the last hour here in the wonderful South. So my area is already completely shut down. Nobody's going to be able to go anywhere. Grocery stores are cleaned out. Liquor store parking lots were packed today. So it's good for the economy. Bring the snow.
Yeah, good for the economy, bad for the white-knuckle drivers. That's the thing. See, I have been trained to drive in snow and ice. I know how to do these things. I'm not terrified of my own driving. It's the people around me that like to do 90 mile an hour because they think it's cool and then slide into the middle of an intersection. I was watching the news today because I wound up taking off from the day job because for some reason, they only did reduced services for a couple hours today, and I was like, you know what? I'm not driving my car, and I'm not running the risk of some other idiot hitting my mother-in-law's car, so I'm not going to work today. Not only that, an hour drive would have taken 3, and I just wasn't feeling it. But I kept watching the news a little bit here and there today, and I kept watching these intersection cameras catching people sliding directly through the intersections, just slamming into oncoming traffic. Because they were trying to drive too fast for the road conditions. I'm just like, yep, I'm glad I stayed home today.
Yeah, I had it's a quick story. When I lived up in D.C., I drove a Toyota Celica, rear-wheel drive, stick shift, everything. And we had a really good snowstorm going, and I had to be at work. And we had probably 8-9 inches on the ground. And I'm coming around the Beltway, and I'm doing fine because I know how to drive in the snow. And this guy goes by me in like a Jeep Cherokee doing like 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour. And I said, "You're an idiot." I get about 10 miles up the road, and where was that Cherokee? It was sitting up on the Jersey wall, because what people don't realize is that your four-wheel drive is great, but your brakes are the same as mine.
Yeah, people just don't have any idea how to drive in snow, and it seems like the further south you get, the less they know how to drive in snow. So I'm glad you're okay.
I'm not going anywhere. I parked my truck, and it is staying there. I've got everything I need to just chill for the weekend.
Well, that's good. So, I noticed you mentioned that the liquor store parking lots were full. I'm assuming that means you stopped off and got your provisions.
Yes, I did. have to have the provisions for the weekend.
Starting to feel like maybe I should have mixed one up before we started. Oh, I didn't realize how hard it was going to be to try to talk. I've barely talked that much today, and it just seems like it's getting worse and worse the few minutes we're in here. All right, so anyway, we've got a lot of stuff going on in the news today. We have the FaceTime, or not FaceTime, what is that? The Facebook Live video that everyone's all up in arms about, rightfully so. Actually, I was kind of surprised today because, again, remember, I didn't go to work today. So flipping through channels, I actually landed on The View for about 5 minutes. And I actually heard Whoopi Goldberg, of all people, talking badly about the people that shot this video. I was actually pretty surprised because she was condemning them on national TV. I don't hear her do those kind of things very often.
No, and I didn't watch that. I was at work, but somebody mentioned it to me. I was working in a medical office building, and somebody actually mentioned that that they were kind of shocked at Whoopi's, at her reaction to it. Now, I was almost really mad yesterday until the Chicago PD came out and said that these quote-unquote kids are going to be charged with a hate crime, which I don't like the term hate crime, but if you're going to use the term hate crime, it needs to go in every direction. Because at first the Chicago police, it almost sounded like they weren't going to charge them with anything. You know, I didn't know what direction they were going, but they came through, and with all the charges, and they're all getting charged as adults, they could be facing up to 60 years in prison.
Actually, I hadn't heard that, so I'm actually really glad to hear that the Chicago PD's finally decided to charge them, because, yeah, I had heard that they were kind of on the fence as to what they were going to do with them. The thing that people need to understand about all of this is this doesn't have anything to do with politics. This is people that were beating the crap out of somebody just because they were different. I mean, I know that they politicized it, but in my heart, I'm watching this video because I have watched it. I really wish I hadn't, but I had watched it. And it was just apparent that they were basically just delighting in beating the crap out of this person that was different than they were. And I really thought we were to the point where a lot of this stuff had gone away.
Yeah, the video is disgusting. And I don't care who it is doing the beating or getting beat. It's disgusting. And I just, you know, I know in my heart that my children would never do anything like that. You know, what kind of upbringing brings somebody to do something like that? I do not to grab a disabled person and basically kidnap them and torture them because they're different. What mindset A, makes you do that, and B, makes you decide to broadcast it.
Being insane would be my guess.
Yeah, I don't. It hurts my head to think about treating somebody like that. It really does. I mean, the mindset to do that, it boggles my mind, and I know that it's the same with most of the people I've talked to, and I've gotten very upset with some reactions to it. I've seen reactions where it's, I don't think I would call this a hate crime, because, it's more of a,
because it was done
it's a politics thing. No, it's not a politics thing. These people did this because they hate. And like I said, I don't agree with the hate crime tag, because pretty much crime is hate. I mean, if you murder somebody, it's a hate crime. I don't know how it can either be considered a hate crime or not a hate crime. You murdered them, you obviously hate them.
The whole idea of saying this, shouldn't be labeled a hate crime, and I get it. A lot of people don't like the term hate crime, but from my way of thinking, there are times when the word hate crime fits. This happens to be one of them, because you can't honestly look at this and say, well, they did this because they love the guy. No, they did it because they have hate in their hearts, and it's like you said, all crime can basically be broken down to two major emotions. It's either hate or resentment. Because if you're taking things from people or taking things from stores, it's usually because of the fact that you resent that they have those things and you don't, or you resent that you can't afford them and other people can't. And if you're actually inflicting harm onto other people, it usually means that there's hate in your heart. Now, a lot of people would say that it's hate for this particular person. I think if we actually took the time to look at it, we would probably find out that these people hate themselves and don't know how to react to that, so they lash out. Now, that doesn't change what they did. I'm glad that the Chicago PD is charging them, and I hope they get every ounce of time they have coming to them, because they've earned it.
Yeah, and there's a lovable guy out there named Tariq Nasheed. He is apparently very upset that people didn't just jump forward to set up GoFundMes for these people.
See,
really?
Yeah.
He doesn't say a word about what they did to this innocent young man. He just wants them defended as much as they can be defended, which he's basically saying he condones what they did.
No, actually, I saw that tweet the other day, and he was like, I can't believe nobody set up a GoFundMe for them yet. I'm thinking, well, if you're really that worried about it, why haven't you done it?
Exactly. It's, I think he's a bit of a troll, but still, just the ignorance in saying that, it amazes me, because if the tables were turned, and I would be just as disgusted, and it was a bunch of alt-righters that went out and grabbed a black guy and held him and beat him, Tariq Nasheed would be like, and if somebody set up a GoFundMe for them, he'd be like, I can't believe somebody did that. Well, none of them should have anything set up for them. They should have to go through the system like anybody else does on their own. That's the way it should be. And I don't care whether, I don't have any love for the alt-right either. But that's the way it should be. They wanted to do this and act like quote-unquote adults, then they should be treated like adults, and they should have to handle it like adults, and that's it. As far as I know, I don't know what their bond has been set at, but I'm guessing that without a GoFundMe, with a bunch of people donating, they're not going to make bond, and they're sitting in a cell, and they're going to sit there until they get their trial.
That's exactly what should happen. But I don't know. I mean, the thing that drives me crazy more is we have all of these things that happen, and we get these completely different reactions by the leftist groups depending on what color the skin is of the people that are doing the acts. Because when you had someone like Mike Brown, who was terrorizing someone that was a shop owner, terrorizing a police officer, and was shot, they had a complete and total meltdown because it was a white cop that shot a black so-called kid who happened to be legally an adult. Let's not forget that part. And then we have the exact opposite situation where 4 African-American individuals kidnapped a disabled person, beat them, and put it on Facebook. And it took the cops days to figure out what they were going to do. That's the part. I'm glad they finally figured out what they were going to do, but that's the part I still can't seem to wrap my head around. Because if this had been 4 white people beating the crap out of a black person, there would have been no hesitation. None.
No, not in the slightest. And that's where the problem lies. It's, that's what, it would have instantly been labeled a hate crime. It took the Chicago PD, once everything was public with it, it still took them a day to decide that they were going to charge these people with a hate crime. It would have been instantaneous the other way around. And on top of it, it's not even that the victim was white. He was disabled. I mean, this kid couldn't defend himself in any way whatsoever. He just couldn't even defend himself. He was an easy target for them. They saw that. They saw an easy target. And it kills me. This poor kid, what he went through, it just kills me. And people trying to place blame everywhere but the perpetrators. Well, he shouldn't have been here. He shouldn't have been there. Or his, you know what? You're going to tell me that a disabled kid can't go out on his own without his parents with him if he's capable of doing it? So now it's their fault? He's 18 years old. It's just because he's disabled means that he can't go anywhere without his parents? And so now it's his parents' fault because he was out on his own? That it makes no sense. None of that makes any sense. Everybody trying to put blame somewhere else. Not everybody. The left trying to put blame somewhere else. I'll say it. Because they look on this as a black mark. Well, it is a black mark, but it's a black mark on where this country is at the moment. It doesn't matter whether you're left, right, white, black, whoever you are. It doesn't matter. This is a statement on where society is right now. And it's horrible.
Can you imagine? Now let's just back things up to 8 years ago. Can you imagine if right after Barack Obama was elected for his first term, 4 white people went out and kidnapped a disabled black person and beat the crap out of them on some sort of video camera or social media or something that allowed them to videotape it? Could you imagine the outcry? The outcry that wouldn't have taken 2.5 days to get started? The outcry that would have been instantaneous, that would have been on every single news outlet, headlines in every single newspaper, and the roles are reversed and we had nothing for over a day.
Right, and that's the whole thing. And what kills me is that the outcry would have come from people like you and me, too. We wouldn't have made excuses for it. We would have said, this is freaking awful. Yet, on the other side, instantaneously, there were excuses made. Where were this kid's parents? He's 18 years old. Don't say, where were his parents? He's allowed to be out on his own. Just because he's disabled doesn't mean he has to have his parents with him everywhere he goes. It boggles my mind. Because if what you just described had happened 8 years ago, I would have been like, oh my God, this is awful. This is absolutely awful. And these people need to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I don't care. It doesn't matter what the other circumstances were. This is awful. But that's not what happened here. And it drives me crazy. It really does. Don't try to blame other people for what 4 people did, grabbing a guy and torturing him. You can't blame other people for that. You're basically the left, who is all about equal rights for everybody, is basically saying that this 18-year-old kid shouldn't be able to go out on his own because he's disabled. That's what they're saying. Equal rights?
Well, let's not forget though, these are the same people that if they had known whatever this person's disability was, if they had the ability to predict it in the womb, the left would be the one saying that we needed to go ahead and terminate him because he's not going to have a good life.
That's true.
So let's not forget what equal rights actually means to the left. Equal rights to the left means, hey, if as far as we are concerned, you meet the everyday standard norms that we hold to account, then you should have the same rights as everybody else. If not, you need to sit down and shut up or go away. We don't really care which one. And that's the thing that drives me crazy, because most of the time before this election, when the left was saying those type of things about the right, what they were actually doing was taking all the things that they know about themselves and projecting them onto another group of people. Unfortunately, thanks to folks like Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity over the last 8 years, when they realized that things were not going the way they'd hoped, and they started latching on to this idea that we have to become more like the left, sadly they've gotten everything they've wanted, because now the right's doing the exact same things. Because with that, we've seen it all over this campaign. Donald Trump would come out and say something completely stupid or backtrack over something that we heard him say completely different the day before. Oh, it's all right. You don't have to listen to what he says. You just have to know what he means. Huh? What?
Right. Exactly. It's the... I've heard it, you said Hannity, Coulter, all of these quote-unquote right-wing conservative pundits are now absolutely doing exactly what the left has done for the last 30, 40 years. Well, he didn't mean it that way. Well, how did he mean it when he said it then? And it's driving me crazy. It's where you and I are, where we have no real home, which really gives us a home, because we can look at both sides now and go, you're both wrong.
Hey, guess what?
And
God gave me a right hand and a left hand. I can give both sides the bird. It's really pretty much that simple.
Yeah, it's every time, and I am, and you are, I'm giving Trump a chance. I always pray. When Obama got elected, I prayed and said, I hope he's a great president. I do. He proved me wrong fairly quick. I'm hoping that doesn't happen here, because I'm praying. I hope Trump is a great president. And I've been pleasantly surprised with some of his decisions so far in setting up his cabinet and everything else. And I've been mildly perturbed at some of his decisions. And there again, what you and I both end up getting, and a lot of people we know, is when I'm pleasantly surprised, I'm an alt-right racist. And when I'm mildly perturbed, I'm a stupid liberal.
Yeah.
So,
depending on what day of the week it is and whether Trump has said something that I agree with or disagree with, I'm either a fanatic Nazi or a liberal social justice warrior. Take
yes.
All right. Well, believe it or not, it's already about time for a break. We've already hit the bottom of hour number 1, so we're going to take a really quick break here. When we come back, we actually have, speaking of meltdowns, we have some folks actually complaining. I believe it's about the Alabama Electoral College votes. We have some audio of that when we come back right here on Robinson and Wright. Don't go away. We'll be back in about 4 minutes.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you and your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
right, folks, welcome back. This is Robinson and Wright right here on KLRNradio.com. And we are halfway through hour one. Now, as promised, we do have a little bit of audio I want to make sure we get to today. I'm not sure we're going to be able to get to all of it. But what uh-oh. Hang on. What just happened? And go. Ha. Yay. Here he comes. Sorry, folks. Live radio. Woo. Don't ever hit that button again.
I didn't.
Uh-huh. I don't know what happened. I went to go start pulling up the audio. Next thing I know, you were gone. I was like, I don't know what just
don't
happened.
know what happened either. I was sitting here, and all of a sudden I heard the old Skype bloop, and I was like, okay. Did I forget to pay my bill?
Well, this part of Skype should be free. You only got to pay if you want a number for people to be able to call you.
No, I know, but you know what I'm saying. Phone bill in general. Did I forget to pay
it? Oh, that's right. I forgot half the time you do yours from yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is actually, and I got a bit of a correction from the audio engineer while we were on break. This audio is one of the many examples today of the left trying to disrupt the session of Congress. And it's only going to run for about a minute, so we're going to go ahead and run it now.
But for what purpose does the gentleman from Massachusetts rise?
Mr. President, I object to the certificate from the state of Alabama on the grounds that the electoral votes were not, under all of the known circumstances, regularly given, and that the electors were not lawfully certified, especially given the confirmed and illegal activities engaged by the government of Russia designed to interfere with our election and the widespread violations of the Voting Rights Act that unlawfully suppressed thousands of votes in the state of Alabama.
Debate allowed. Section 15 and 17 of Title III of the United States Code require that any objection be presented in writing, signed by both members of the House of Representatives and as both member of the House of Representatives and a senator. Is the objection in writing and signed not only by the member of the House of Representatives, but also by a senator?
Mr. President, the objection is in writing, signed by a member of the House of Representatives, but not yet by a member of the United States
Senate. In that case, the objection cannot be entertained.
Sit down, fool! I mean, come on. What the? We don't like this. There were voter intimidation and blah, blah, blah. Look, come on. Let's be honest. The only place where they found anything that went sideways was where was it again? I think wasn't it in Michigan?
Yeah, and that still didn't. But what I'm saying
it didn't
really. It did, but it didn't go sideways. It actually didn't go sideways.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is Jill Stein, in her recount, basically her euphoria over us needing a recount because of possible voting irregularities. The only thing she uncovered were irregularities on the left. These people really just need to let this go. Just stop. You're sounding desperate at this point. It reminds me of when, come on. I know I'm not the only guy on the planet that's ever been dumped by a really hot chick, and you're like stalking her for 3 weeks going, come on, take me back. Or maybe you're the lucky one and it was the other way and you're getting stalked by somebody else. Regardless, that's exactly what this reminds me of. It's just this, come on, America, give us one more chance. We can prove to you that we were cheated. Just don't take it away. Just shut up. Just sit down and shut up.
Exactly. We in a few more days, Donald Trump is going to be president of the United States. Whether you like it or whether you don't like it, he's going to be. I didn't want it, but you know what? I'm going to give him a chance because he's going to be. You have to give him a chance. Stop. They need to stop the Democrats in the Senate basically saying that they are going to block his nominees, 8 of his nominees for his cabinet, as long as they possibly can. Do you know what that's doing? That's hurting the country. That is just hurting the country. That is just them basically saying, I'm a sore loser and I'm going to hurt everybody in the country. Everybody.
But let's be honest.
That's what they're saying.
But let's be honest. Thanks to Harry Reid's little stunt, can they really even do too much to block the appointments anymore?
They can. I mean, they're saying that they can maybe make things go till late February, early March, if they play their cards right. And their cards are dirty.
I don't really think they can, though, because I mean they've gotten rid of the supermajority rule for these confirmations, because Harry Reid, when the Senate and the Congress had the majority, one of the first things they did was they did exactly what they kept telling the Republicans not to do when the Republicans had the majority, and they were getting stymied by the Democrats, and they kept I think it was Boehner back then, kept threatening to go nuclear and get rid of the supermajority for confirmations. And the Democrats kept saying, you can't do that, it's un-American. You can't do that, it's un-American, because you're blocking the voice of the people. And then as soon as they became the majority group, they did just that. They removed the supermajority for confirmation. So I really don't know, at the end of the day, how much of this they're going to be able to block, thanks to the fact that we seem to have two groups that are entirely short-sighted, and the only thing they really seem to focus on is what they can get done in the 4 to 6 years that they have power.
Yeah, and it still just comes. Maybe they can't do anything, but they're gonna try. That should tell the American people something. That should tell the Democrats in this country something. But instead, the Democrats should sit there and go, "Yeah. You do it, man. You do it. You keep him from getting his people." Well, what they don't understand is that keeps the government from running, which has been happening for 8 years. Let's get them confirmed. Let's get an administration in there, and let's see what they're going to do. Give them a chance. I mean, it's not what a lot of us wanted, but you've got to give them a chance. You never know. He may come in and he may end up actually being good. He may. We don't know that. He hasn't even been inaugurated yet. He is not president yet, and they're already saying he's the worst president in history. How do you know? He hasn't done anything yet. It's driving me nuts, is what it's doing. I mean, at the same time, it's giving me a little bit of a smile because they've buried themselves and they're digging the ditch deeper. They just keep digging it deeper and deeper. And more people are starting to realize it. And, you know, if we can get one party at least out of the two in the uniparty to just dig themselves down so far that they're irrelevant, I'll be happy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I honestly don't know when this is all said and done if either of the parties is going to be relevant anymore. What I find, and you and I really haven't had much of a chance to talk about this over this past week because it's been kind of crazy with me transitioning back to the regular day job and then bad weather, coming down sick, all this other fun stuff. But one of the things that I have been basically completely enjoying, I think it actually started around last Friday because I think we may have actually talked about it for a little bit, but we kind of did an abbreviated show last week, is now all of a sudden all of these people like Coulter and Bill Mitchell and all of these other well, I mean, maybe not really Coulter because she already had a following. I'm pretty sure she's been sacrificing babies for a while to make sure that happens. But as far as like Mitchell and all these other lesser-known pundits that glommed onto the alt-right and basically used them to grow their following and make them feel like they understood them, now all of a sudden they're like, holy crap, you guys are racist? Nope, I'm out. And I'm like, really? Maybe you should have said that 6 months ago when you knew they were racist, but they were serving your purposes. And I've tried to point this out to people, even using one of Mitchell's own tweets, and they still argue with me about it. Because he said, well, it didn't matter back then because we had a common enemy and it was Hillary. But now that foe has been vanquished, we can't put our differences aside anymore. Now we have to deal with the fact that they believe in things that we don't. You probably should have thought of that before you climbed into bed with them.
Absolutely. It all started, yes, we did touch base last week. It started with their quote-unquote deplorables ball. And Mitchell and Chernovic, they are, I guess, the anointed, we're in charge of the deplorable ball. So they started uninviting the alt-righters and inviting people that they thought they aligned with more, like Milo. But then Milo was like, well, I'm only coming if you're going to make me a, headline speaker. And they're all just infighting. It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious watching this because it's a complete and total breakdown. We're watching a complete meltdown on the left and a complete meltdown on the right. All of the people that pushed to get Trump elected on the right are now infighting with each other because, like you said, oh my God, they're a bunch of racists. Chernovic called himself alt-right, and now he totally disavows them. It's ridiculous. These people are absolutely insane. They're just as bad as the left. They're just as bad. They may even be worse because the left always seems to be able to get themselves back together. These guys are just fighting with each other. That's all they're doing now is fighting with each other. It's like, so now you won and you're just going to infight now? And you're going to deny this, and you're going to deny that, and you're going to deny each other. And now all of a sudden Chernovic and Mitchell are cucks. It's ridiculous. It's childish. It's high school. And again, that's why I'm glad you and I are where we are, because we don't have anything to do with it. Nothing to do with it.
And that's the thing that I've been trying to point out to everybody for quite some time. If you do your best, and I'm not going to say that I'm not going to even try to intimate that I'm perfect at this because everybody falls short. But if you do your best to try to make sure that your principles are what guides you every single day, you don't wind up in these type of situations where you're having to remember what it is that you believe or what you stand for, or why it's okay for you to hang out with these people 1 second, but it's not okay the next. And that's just not who I ever want to be. I understand after doing this for so many years, the drive to get to the point where you've got a good following and you're starting to get recognized and you have people that are starting to find you and say, hey, we'd like to advertise on your show. That type of stuff is starting to happen for me now. So I understand now that it's starting to happen, the need to make sure it continues to happen. But I refuse to get to the point where I'm willing to sell out everything that I stand for, all in the hopes of being able to make a buck. And that's exactly what some of these people have done, whether they want to admit it or not. And it's what I kept saying to them over and over and over again, and to everyone in the primaries and the general. If you can actually look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day with the lights on and say, I voted for Trump because I think he's the best possible choice for the country, and I supported Trump because I think he's the best possible choice for the country, and you know that you meant it when you went and you pulled that lever, then you don't have anything to apologize for. But if you can't make that statement and you're looking yourself in the mirror and you know that you only did this to further your career and to further raise your notoriety level during an election, then you are part of the problem. Plain, simple, and period. Because what they don't understand, because you're not going to be able to separate yourself from them now. These people are not going to go away. They have been brought back out into the spotlight. They are not going to go away. one of the guy that actually coined the term alt-right, that everybody wants to argue with me about, by the way, because when I point out article after article after article where it says he's the guy that started saying it first and this is what he was using it for. Nope, that's not true. You're just a leftist liberal media guy. No, I'm not. I couldn't be any further from that if I tried. But the simple fact of the matter is this guy is considering running for Congress now. Let that sink in.
Yeah, everybody watch out for the name, Spencer. Everybody watch out. These people all grabbed onto it because it got behind Trump, and so many people try to argue with me about what alt-right means. And if you read Spencer's writings, it means exactly what you and I say it means. They want purity in the white race. That's what they want. Alt-right is a mild term for what you and I grew up seeing, in the 70s and 80s in Skokie, Illinois and everything. It's a term to describe neo-Nazis without saying we're neo-Nazis. It's with saying we are the real right-wing movement. They aren't a right-wing movement. They are socialists. They are just right-wing socialists. These people don't realize it because they glommed onto a name. Spencer is a right-wing socialist. People don't understand that socialism goes both ways. When you want social nationalism, you are a socialist. You're right-wing, but you're a socialist. People just do not understand it. They don't get it. I got into an argument with somebody about it earlier today, and I'm not a socialist. Socialists are a bunch of liberals. No, you are a socialist. You're a socialist movement. You want everybody to be the same in your country. You want everybody to be the same. You want everybody to be on the same level. It's socialism. People need to take civics, which is gone in this country.
Well, I mean, they don't want people to take civics anymore. It's one of the things, and not to go too far back into a conversation we had last week, because I actually remember having this one because it wound up taking up almost 2 full segments of the show. Education isn't designed to allow people the ability to think critically anymore. It's designed to make sure that we have people that have basic rudimentary skills well enough to run machinery and operate cash registers. That's the extent of our education system anymore. And this is even becoming more apparent even in our higher education system. And this was something that was pointed out to me when I transitioned over to the group that I was with temporarily for almost a month. They showed us some studies and some other things that were going on where there were actually scientists in places. They were really well-named schools. I think it might have even been it wasn't Cambridge, but I think it was Stanford. They were trying to do scientific studies, and the folks that were running the studies weren't able to think critically well enough to remember how the study actually needs to work. When you're comparing things, you need your test subjects and you need a control. They're just not taught how to think for themselves anymore. And that's part of where we are right now. And that's what's happening with both sides. And I know this because I've had Dr. Randy Arrington on my show more than once, who actually has a PhD in a lot of the social sciences. I don't remember what his actual doctorate's in. But he actually pointed out that it usually takes about 2 generations to see a change in society. We're now looking at the beginnings of the third full generation dealing with nationalized education, and we're seeing the outcome of it today. We're seeing people that now think it's okay to kidnap people and beat them on video. We're seeing people that think it's okay to loot, burn, and tear down cities when things happen that you don't agree with. We're seeing college students, adults, who, because they grew up in the participation trophy generation, don't know how to lose. And when they lost, they didn't know how to cope with it. So everything shut down. This is all a symptom of the same problem.
You're right, and that's where this alt-right movement comes from too. It's backfired. It's actually backfiring on the liberal NEA. It's backfiring on them because the alt-right is the same way. They don't know civics. They don't understand it. They don't understand how government is supposed to work. So now you have this extreme left and this extreme right that don't understand how the government in this country is supposed to work. It's backfired on the left, is what's happened. It is completely backfired on the liberal education system, and that is what has given us the alt-right. Because if you talk to these people in the alt-right, they don't get it. They'll literally tell you, screw that Constitution. This is the way we want it. No, the Constitution's the Constitution. It's here to stay, whether you like it or not. It's here to stay. You've got people on the right and people on the left that all think the Constitution is crap. Well, it's not crap. It built this country. It put this country where it is, and you enjoy the fruits of this country. But you have to abide by the Constitution to keep this country going. And now you have two sides that think the Constitution should just go away, which is just stupid and socialist.
Yeah, but they won't ever understand that. The other interesting thing about socialism is, there's plenty of evidence showing just how poorly it works when it's tried, and yet they keep trying it again. Just doesn't make any sense to me at all. All right, so we have actually hit the bottom of the hour at this point, so we're going to have to take another really quick break here in just a couple minutes. Now, when we come back, we actually have some audio from the shooting that happened in Florida today at an airport. Sadly, I don't have the notes in front of me right now, so the name of the airport escapes me, because I'm looking at the board, not my notes. But we're going to take a really quick break. When we come back, we will change gears, and I'll actually have my notes in front of me so I can have a coherent thought about the topic that we're going to be discussing. This is Robinson and Wright. This is what happens when you try to do a show when you're sick, folks. I'll be right back. So will Dan.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Folks, this is Robinson and Wright. We're in hour 2 now. This is we're coming to you live right now from KLRNradio.com, and we actually are joined by a guest with us for the moment. Miss Jessica Sanders from Jesse's POV is joining us as well. Good evening, Miss Jess. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, Rick. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm snowed in. Starting to get the sniffles. This is making me a little cranky.
Yeah, I knew you'd not been feeling a little under the weather lately, and I knew you hadn't been up on all the news today, so I thought I might hop on with the Fort Lauderdale shooter thing because I followed that almost from the start.
All right, well, go ahead. Since you've been following along for it most of the day and I slept most of the day, why don't you go ahead and take point on this one?
All right. First of all, the Fort Lauderdale shooter, I'm going to say this now. There was one shooter. He is in custody. And you don't have to take my word for it. I got the police scanner audio off Broadcastify.
Charlie 20, standby 1. Standby. Okay, one suspect involved. You do have the correct person stopped. Multiple victims down. Witnesses are advising the person they have is the only one.
All right. I know some of that was hard to hear. One shooter, multiple victims down. Witnesses are advising the person they have is the only one. So there was one shooter. And I know there was a lot of stuff on social media going, oh, there's another shooter. None of that was true. So I wanted to debunk that myth right away. So, and the Fort Lauderdale police, in my opinion, did a fantastic job. Actually, it was the Broward County Sheriff's Department. But
yeah, I mean, they've got the guy. He's in custody. I mean,
he's actually in federal custody, facing federal charges, and he will be facing a judge on Monday.
And no matter what anybody says, no matter what comes out about it, what he did and the way he did it, it is terrorism.
By definition, what he did was intended to terrorize people, and that is the definition of terrorism. So yes, what he did, no matter what comes out, whether it gets blamed on, quote, mental illness, which his family has come forward stating that he has mental health issues. Now, I'm waiting for it to get blamed on PTSD. I'm waiting for the PTSD card to be pulled. And here's
but it doesn't matter. He has stated his allegiance with Islam. There are plenty of pictures of him that prove that, and you can blame PTSD, you can blame mental illness, you can blame whatever you want. It is what it is.
I agree with you, but the reason I'm waiting for the PTSD to come out is because he was a veteran of Iraq. Now, you dig a little deeper into that. He went to Iraq from 2010 to 2011. That's when they were packing up to move out. There was some fighting, but it was not the heavy, intensive fighting. It's not like he was with the Marines at the Battle of Fallujah. And he was a combat engineer. Translation, he was responsible, his MOS was combat engineer. And that means he was responsible for bridges, roads, things like that. Yes, every person in the United States Army carries a rifle. Every person in the United States Army National Guard has a rifle. They all have to qualify with their weapons. It doesn't matter whether you're a flute player in the band, you still have to qualify. But I'm sorry, it's just no. So now what happened? He declared a weapon and put it was in his checked bag. This is what I've gathered between news reports, social media, multiple news outlets, press conferences, and all the like. He checked a firearm. Now, it's not clear if the firearm was inspected prior to him checking it to make sure it was unloaded. And Dan, I know you and I have both flown with firearms.
Correct. And the proper procedure is that the lockbox gets opened, the firearm is checked to make sure it's unloaded. If it's not unloaded, you need to unload it there. And I haven't experienced that because I've always done it, but I know people that have experienced it. You literally unload the magazine and you leave the cartridges there. They are not yours anymore.
The ammunition, not the magazine.
Correct. You get the empty magazine back. It goes back in the lockbox. It gets put in your bag. The paperwork gets filled out. Now, it bothers me a little bit. You're not allowed to lock your bag because the paperwork gets put on top of the lockbox, and your bag is noted as having a firearm in it. And at any time, your bag can get opened to make sure that the box containing your firearm is locked.
Now, I have to admit, Dan, what I did when I traveled with my firearm, I took a separate case. I took a Pelican Storm case with me because I knew I was going to be returning on my trip with a firearm. I checked that case was too big to fit in any of my other checked luggage, so I checked it separately, which they allowed because I had 2 ginormous padlocks on the outside. They were not TSA approved padlocks. They were ones that only I had the key. Now, I understood that meant that if they wanted to open it, they were going to have to come get me or the key. I was fine with that.
Well, yeah, but if you travel with rifles, you can travel with a rifle case. I do not travel with rifles. I travel with a handgun.
This was a handgun. This was a handgun, but the case would not. I had a very small checked bag. I'd been away for less than 48 hours.
Yeah, but I'm relating it to a rifle. You can have a case that you can check separate as a checked piece of luggage with a handgun in it, as long as that case remains locked. They're fine with it. If it's in another piece of luggage, you are not allowed to lock that piece of luggage. If you do lock it, you risk that lock being cut off of it so that they can open your bag and make sure that there is a lockbox in there with the paperwork.
Now, what I was told by a TSA agent, and I know with the government, depending on how they were trained and what they remember, opinions can vary. I was told by a TSA agent, if that case had fit inside my checked luggage, I could use a TSA-approved lock to lock my outer bag because TSA can get into those.
I guess I don't worry about it. If they open my luggage, they open my luggage. It has my clothes in it. Everything else is with me. So, but what happened here was apparently, from what I'm hearing.
So he checked the firearm.
He checked the firearm.
Then he picked it up with baggage claim.
And he took it to the bathroom and loaded it.
Exactly. Now, the police did say it was a semi-automatic handgun. They have not released the make or the model or anything like that. I heard on the press conference, and I caught the very tail end. It was a semi-automatic handgun. Then he comes out of the bathroom. He made no statements. There was no Aloha snack bar. No, he did not try and take hostages. Now, I have heard reports that he had and I have the scanner audio, but I'm not going to play it because it is a little graphic, that there were a number of people, he had a number of headshots. It takes a lot of time to be able to do a headshot, especially on a moving target.
I heard audio on the news tonight of, it was an interview with Shepard Smith from Fox, where one of the victims was standing next to this gentleman, and yes, he walked right up. This gentleman was basically deafened by a gunshot in his ear, and he watched the guy standing next to him drop, and luckily for him, he wasn't the next victim. But he said he basically turned around, this guy dropped, he turned around, and the guy had been shot in the head.
Okay, so that was a stationary target, but yeah, it still takes a lot of practice to be able to do a headshot. Now, at last I checked, there were 5 deceased, 8 or 9 hospitalized.
8 hospitalized.
I actually heard that one of the people that have been previously released has returned to the hospital.
Well, I mean,
at least 8. How's that?
Yeah, it comes right back to, no matter what people trying to say that it's not terrorism, it's a quote unquote mass shooting. Yes, it's a mass shooting. You're correct. It's also terrorism. It is. And what's going to happen from this? And I never travel with ammo. If
neither do I.
If I feel I need ammo where I'm going, I buy ammo where I'm going. I really do not have a problem with after this, and I am a Second Amendment guy, and I like the fact that I can still take my firearms with me where I want to go. If they can come out and say you cannot travel with ammo anymore, I'm fine with that. I am fine with that. I mean, if it a lot of people are going to be mad at me for saying that. I don't really care. I get it. I'm happy. I would rather have them say you can't travel with ammo than have them say you can no longer travel with your firearm.
I agree. Now, I do know a couple of competition shooters, and they have very specialized hand-loaded ammo that they like to shoot with, and they do travel with ammunition. However, what I will say about them traveling with ammunition is they take a second locked box, and they have specially built cases to hold these rounds, because they are hand-loaded. There's nothing simple, cheap, easy, anything about them, okay? They are quite the piece of work from what I understand. So they have specially built plastic cases to hold their hand-loaded ammo. They also put it in a separate box inside their shooting case, and they lock the whole thing up. Now, I can understand if you're a competition shooter and you like that special ammo, but if it's just a regular firearm and you just want to exercise your Second Amendment rights and you're gonna, you're going somewhere and you just want your firearm there on the other end, I can also see just picking up the ammo when you land.
Yeah, but there, I mean, this is where I'm torn. I want to be able to travel with my firearm, but not being able to travel with ammo pretty much eliminates you being able to have ammo when you get to, say, California, where now you need to buy a license to buy ammo. Now,
And it's
are
gonna
they
cost
going?
you
Are they going to?
$50.
Are they going to take my North Carolina license to buy ammo in California?
No, and you have to be a state resident in California is what I was also heard, but I don't know if that is accurate. You have to be a resident of the state of California in order to buy ammo in California and have a state license. And I've heard boxes of ammo are going for as much as $100 now. Same box you could buy for $30 elsewhere because of the state taxes and the fees. And yeah, we all know California is trying to outlaw firearms. Now, Governor Rick Scott, kudos to him. He got to the scene as fast as possible. Now, there were two questions that came up in his press conference, and I was sitting here going, why would you? Okay, the governor dropped what he was doing and ran to the scene of a tragedy in his state. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dan. Isn't that his job?
Absolutely.
Okay. There were two questions that came up that I'm sitting here going, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot? The first one was, how did you get here? Well, he flew by private plane and landed at what he called Executive Airport, which is generally slang for the private aviation wing of an airport. Then, the next question that came up in this press conference that left me scratching my head was, don't you feel that the need, the fact that you're here and you need security is taking away from everything going on at the airport? First of all, the governor already has his detail with him. It's not like he's going to walk up and start tapping Broward County Sheriff's Department officers on the shoulder going, I need a security detail. He's already got his detail with him.
Right. This is a bunch of people were shot at an airport in his state. His job is to be there as quick as possible.
And he did. Now,
that's just like on 9/11, George Bush getting there.
Want to get back to Washington, D.C. as fast as possible. Now, I understand for security reasons, the Secret Service was like, absolutely not. But he was taken someplace where he could get the latest updates, meet with the press, and put out a statement.
Well, and then as soon as he possibly could, he was in Manhattan. He was in Manhattan as soon as he could possibly get there.
Speech. And that speech of his was my favorite one of his entire presidency.
Yeah, and
but here's
what have we watched? What have we watched our current soon to be gone president do?
I have a saying that I came up with this one long before I ever joined the radio station. Americans die, Obama flies in the opposite direction.
Or
he'll be off at a fundraiser. He'll be off golfing. He's going in the other direction. I mean,
ding, ding. You said it. Your second point there. It seems like every time something happens, he's on the golf course. And when he gets off the golf course, nothing is said. He cares about himself.
Now, here's what Rick Scott had to say today, part of what Rick Scott said today. And this was after those two stupid questions, in my opinion, about, how did he get here and about his security detail. Here's what he said.
I came here as quickly as I could. Stay informed, make sure that whatever resources the state needed to provide, I made sure that the sheriff knew that, the airport knew that. But on top of that, I did that for airports and sheriff departments across the state. On top of that, talking to our national guard to make sure they were ready.
He made sure the National Guard was ready if called upon. He provided additional resources to sheriff's departments and airports across the state and dropped what he was doing and went straight to the scene. To me, that's a leader. I don't even know what party he is. I'm I didn't look into it because this is not an issue of politics. Governor Scott acted like a leader.
Yes, he did. And that's the problem right now is if anybody is going to sit there and say that something like this happens in a state and that governor does not want to be there immediately, or that governor wants to be there immediately, and they say that they are being there for a press op or to take away from this or take away from that, that is disingenuous. The man did exactly what he was supposed to do, and he had a crisis in his state, and he made sure he was there. And that's what's supposed to happen. And the press...
I will say one thing. The press is stupid at that, but I will say one thing. There is a difference between bringing a governor of a state to the situation and bringing the president. The security footprint is much larger, and things will have to stop for a presidential visit. So I can understand putting off for a day or so in the event of something like a 9/11 type incident, bringing the president. I can understand that until they get things stable. Just like several presidents, and I think George W. Bush, I'm guessing it was a tornado. Instead of touching down in Oklahoma and causing everything to come to a screeching halt right after the tornado, he flew over because he was already flying from Texas back to DC. So he did a flyover, and they circled around a little bit and did a flyover. He announced why he didn't land. The security footprint it was like the day after. It would have brought the rescue and recovery to a screeching halt. People would have stopped being taken care of, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because it is a much larger footprint.
No, that's correct. That's correct. But this whole thing in Florida, the governor should have been there immediately, just like with the police officer shootings in Dallas. The governor was there as soon as he could possibly get there. That's what needs to happen. That's how you lead a state. That's what happens. That's the way it's supposed to work. It's not supposed to be a slightly mild statement from the golf course. That's not how it's supposed to work.
Rick, have you fallen asleep on us, or are you just resting your voice?
You guys were doing well enough on your own, so I'm just sitting over here listening.
All right, so the next thing that came out. Okay. The next thing that came out, and I was able to verify some of this. So I'm only going to, let me see if I can find the stuff I'd verified earlier. All right. First of all, I want to say social media in this day and age is a double-edged sword. There was someone with the same name on social media whose phone, of course, immediately started blowing up because he has the same name. Yet he was in he was in Florida in a different city at work. So people, just because you trip over someone with the exact same name on social media, don't go jumping to conclusions, please. All right, enough of the lecture. The Nexus results do show him as a resident of Alaska. He's not registered to a political party, so before anyone tries to claim anything, he is not registered with any political party affiliation. He registered to vote in 2014. And the last time he voted was in 2014. He registered in October, voted in November. He is 26 years old. He was born in 1990, so you can do the math on that one. I'm not going to read out his email address. There's no point in that. Now, he was pictured wearing a keffiyeh around his neck and doing the and with a finger raised, which is a common dash. I prefer to call it dash. For the listeners of this show, Daesh and ISIS are the same thing, okay? Daesh is the Middle Eastern acronym, and quite frankly, the terrorists don't like the acronym. So that's why I prefer to use it. But I will say he got it a little wrong. He did use his left hand. They do it with their right because in the Middle East, the left hand is considered sturdy. But I think it was his attempt of doing it. And he also had comments on a forum about downloading jihad videos. And he only had one, and it was about the fact that only one link worked. So that, and his family and friends have come out and said that he did have mental health issues. He went to the FBI in Anchorage, Alaska several months ago and said that the government was forcing him to watch jihadi propaganda. Which tells me he is definitely a little off his rocker. The FBI added him to a watch list but did not follow up. They either thought he was just a little off his rocker. He has spent time in mental health facilities, even if it was just a 72-hour evaluation. He was not adjudicated as being mentally unfit. Now, I'm waiting for the argument about people who have spent time in mental health facilities should never be able to purchase guns. I'm waiting for that argument. If you are in for an evaluation and nothing more, you are released at the end of the evaluation. What do you think, Dan? Dan, Rick, you can chime in here too. Should you be allowed to purchase a firearm? You're just there.
Yeah, because there's plenty of reasons to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist that have nothing to do with sanity owning a firearm. I mean, it's, you see a psychiatrist if you have attention deficit disorder. You see a psychiatrist if you have OCD.
A death in the family.
Be honest with you, people with OCD, I have absolutely no problem with them owning a firearm because they're going to be obsessive about safety and everything else. There's plenty of reasons. If you paint this broad brush, take this broad brush and say anybody that's had a psych evaluation can't own a firearm, you're gonna eliminate half the country.
Rick, correct me if I'm wrong. Wouldn't you eliminate most of the police force too?
Yes, actually there was a statistic, I don't have it in front of me, but at least 55%, I think, was one of the numbers I saw thrown around one time. That would eliminate anywhere from 50 to 55% of every standing police officer and from every police force in the country, because at one point or another they've all been diagnosed with PTSD. But we are actually up on a break. We're going to have to take a really quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue this conversation. This is Robinson and Wright with special guest Jessica Sanders from Jesse's POV, right here live on KLRNradio.com.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
All right, folks, welcome back to Robinson and Wright right here live on KLRNradio.com. We, of course, have a special guest, Jessica Sanders from Jesse's POV, who has been discussing with us the shooting out of Florida today. And I'm going to let that conversation continue now that we've got the breaks out of the way.
Okay, before I get started back on the shooting in Florida, I neglected to do something when I came on to this show first that I do every time I get on my show, and I'm just going to butt in with it here. My friend Scott Harvath on Twitter, this is the year you kick cancer to the curb. You got it. 2017 is your year. To remind the listeners, Scott Harvath, SCOTTHARVATH on Twitter, is a retired New York Police Department sergeant who was a 9/11 first responder battling stage 4 esophageal cancer.
Yeah,
all right.
Scott's a great guy. Everybody needs to follow him and support him. He's putting up an awesome fight. Awesome guy. And just give him love. He deserves it.
He's one of the people that, just like the Broward County Sheriff's Department today, ran towards the chaos. Now, I've got the perfect audio clip on that. And this again is from Broadcastify, which is an online scanner source.
Down fire on these deputies downstairs. Deputies report channel 2 downstairs, shots fired. 3 Charlie 200. 97. 2 Charlie 200, we got one down. One down, and it's 3 up to 548. We're all 97.
Charlie 20, 3 Charlie 20, 97, get fire rescue, 1018.
You could hear in that audio clip, the officer was running and struggling to he was talking while he was running. If you listen closely to his breathing, you can actually hear it. He was running to the chaos.
Fire rescue, 1018.
And that's one of the things I thought was important about that audio clip. But I had to let the whole thing, good portion of it play for it to be in context.
Yeah, and that's what, everything that's happened over the last few years with, starting with, really in earnest, starting with Ferguson and everything else, that people don't seem to realize about the men in blue men and women in blue is that their job is literally to run into danger when it's there. That's their job. Just like our military. I can't stress enough to people what that means, that, even the people that are rallying against them, it's their job to run into danger to save them. That's what their job is. And I have a scanner app that I listen to, and I listen to Chicago a lot. And the Chicago Police Department gets a bad rap because of the way Chicago is. But if you listen to that scanner app, those cops in Chicago, for the overwhelming most part, are very dedicated. They can't stand what's going on there, and they're not afraid to run into danger. It's it's a situation that is becoming bad in this country, and it's that listening to that audio, that officer talking right there, he is doing whatever he can to save as many lives as possible. These people dedicate their lives to that, and that's what people do not understand.
No, but that's why I felt it was an important piece of audio to play. Broward County Sheriff's Department, you did an outstanding job. Kudos to you today. You ran towards the danger, and you, without a doubt, saved lives, because there were 8 wounded. And they also
and we don't know how many he went into the restroom and loaded his weapon. How many magazines did he load? How much further could he have gone if he wasn't stopped?
I've heard that he was out of ammo, but I do not know, and they have not released that information. But he did follow the instructions of the police when he was approached by them, and he was taken into custody unharmed. So we may find out more.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing too, is you said it, unharmed. A police officer does not want to shoot somebody.
No.
They do not. If their life is in danger, or if somebody else's life is in danger, they are going to shoot somebody. Shooting a person, killing a person, weighs on somebody, and that's what people don't understand. They do not want to shoot and kill somebody. They want to take a person alive. That's what their goal is. Their goal is not to shoot somebody. And I'm just throwing my 2 cents in. I know it has something to do with Fort Lauderdale today, but it really doesn't. And just the fact that they're not out there to kill you. If you, obviously, the shooter today complied. This guy had just shot 13 or 14 people, and when the police showed up, he complied. Anybody that I doubt is listening right now that wants to argue with me that they shouldn't have to comply with the man, well, this guy shot 14 people and he's alive right now.
Exactly. Rick, you know a number of police officers. I don't think any of them ever wake up in the morning and say, I want to shoot somebody today. Do you know of any that do that, Rick?
Oh, yeah. I know several that wake up every morning and they're like, how many people can I shoot today? Yeah, no, actually, most police officers spend their whole career hoping that they never have to discharge their weapon in anything other than paper.
Exactly.
Absolutely, and I'm the same way. I know plenty of police officers, and they don't, not even discharge their weapon, they don't want to have to pull it. They hope they never have to pull it out of that holster. They know they're probably going to have to, but they hope they don't. They don't want to. They don't want that confrontation. And the whole argument that the police are racist and criminal and all they want to do is kill is just crap. It's all crap. And this incident right here proves that. Because honestly, they probably could have just run in and killed him. They didn't want to kill him. They wanted him to comply. That's all you have to do is comply to a lawful order. Drop your weapon, put your hands up, turn around, and get on the ground. You do that, you're going to live.
Exactly. The key to surviving any situation, or the key to getting, dealing with police officers, follow their instructions. Now, we're talking, we're both Second Amendment people. I have a concealed carry. I was pulled over for a traffic ticket while I was armed. And I kept my hands where the officer could see them. And when he approached me, I handed him my driver's license and my concealed carry permit and said, officer, I am armed. I didn't use the scary word gun, have a gun and start reaching for anything. And I said, the firearm is in the small of my back. So I turned and I asked him how he'd like to proceed. And he looked at my ID, looked at me and said, just keep your hands where I can see them and tell me before you do anything. I said, I have to reach into my glove box. And there is a magazine in there. I'd been at the range that day. There was a spent mag. I said, it is empty in my glove box. He's like, a magazine can't hurt me. The firearm in the small of your back can. So I reached into my glove box, got the insurance information, and I got out of it without a problem.
Nope. Yeah, and I've had an instance where I've been pulled over and same kind of situation and everything else. And we get into a friendly chit chat and the officers asked me, well, can I see what you're carrying? Just out of interest. And I carry a Walther PPK. And he was like, and the officer said, oh, you just think you're a regular James Bond, don't you? Joked around with me about it. Exactly. I mean, you comply, everything's fine.
But that's the key. And all these Black Lives Matter types are like, well, we don't have to comply. We don't have to listen. In fact, today, and I forget what account it was a Black Lives Matter higher up, said, put out on her Twitter timeline, and I actually went to her timeline, but it's been hours since I did this. It was before the shooting, so my mind has obviously changed complete focus since then. Put out that Twitter would be so much better if all the white people were banned.
Yeah. They want they want their own little bubble. That's not what Twitter is supposed to be about.
No,
they're on their way to getting their wish, or at least the liberals are on their way to getting their wish, as all conservatives are targeted constantly.
I mean, okay, I can understand if you're having a party and you only want to have your friends over. Great, it's at your house, or if you're having a private party, even at a restaurant, it's called a private party for a reason. But Twitter is a public space. You don't have to follow people you don't want to follow. Nobody forces you to follow them. Now, I follow people I disagree with. And people say, well, why are you following me if you don't like what I'm saying? It's like, I don't like to live in an echo chamber. I want to hear ideas and thoughts that are different from mine. In fact, I invited someone who I got into a little spat on Twitter with to come on the show so we could talk about the issue that came up. And it's like, we're still working out the details, but I'd love it if they actually take me up on that, because it makes for a more interesting thing. I'm sorry, but the world would be a boring place if you only ever heard things that parrot you. Boring. It's not informative. It's any number of things.
No, you're right. And I mean, I have friends. I call them friends. That's what I call people I follow and that follow me, that are liberal, and we have great conversations, and we have fun. And there's a segment of society that isn't ultra left and isn't ultra right, but a bunch of them are right and a bunch of them are left, and they can get along just fine. That's the way it should be. We may debate, we may have an issue with what one or the other says and talk about it, and then we also have fun because we like each other. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the far right. They all moved over. They've been moving over the alt-right, to another site, Gab. And I had when that site came up and stuff was kind of going crazy on Twitter, I went ahead and I signed up, and you had to wait for an invite after you signed up. By the time my invite came, I blew it off. I was like, no, because it's become like you said, an echo chamber. It's an echo chamber for the alt-right. Why would I want to be there? I get attacked enough on Twitter by them, so I'm just going to go over there and be in their little chamber and be ridiculed? No, I'm not going to do it. I like people. I don't care what your political affiliation is. If we can debate honestly, I want to be your friend. If it's all going to be ad hominem back and forth at each other, I don't care. I'm not going to block you. I might mute you. I'm not going to block you. I'm not going to say you can't see me. But I really don't want to have anything personally to do with you. I don't know. We we've got way off on a tangent here, but
yeah, we kind of ran down the rabbit hole. But like I said,
it's a good point though, and that's part of the problem now. Like I said, I have progressive friends that we can talk and we can debate, but we don't hate each other at the end of it. We may get, and it's been going around on Twitter big time, we may be in a conversation with each other 15 minutes later about whether pineapple should be on pizza. And we have fun with it. You know, you don't have to agree with somebody to be their friend. But if you're going to be extreme and call me names and then block me, that's your choice. Go live in your echo chamber.
Exactly. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't want to live in an echo chamber. Rick, are you for echo chambers?
Nope, never have been.
Good. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't an echo chamber how they created the positive vibe for Obamacare?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to just do nothing but listen to people spout off about everything you believe in, then you're really disingenuous. I mean, you're basically saying I'm not open to anything else. You know, I'm very pro 2A. I've been very involved with the whole, I'd call it anti-gun sense movement. But there's a lot of people that I've gotten into some really good discussions about, and believe it or not, a lot of them from Australia. I don't know why they get so involved in American politics, but some of them, I mean, I ended up following and having really good friendships with that don't agree with me on the Second Amendment, but we actually talk. It's not yelling at each other and calling each other names. We talk and we have good debates, and they give me real information on their end, and I give them real information on my end. And sometimes they go, yeah, you know what, that kind of makes sense, but here's this. And it's not just throwing memes at each other and everything else. But it's, in this country, it's so moved away from, 2 years ago on Twitter, I'm not going to sit there and say that everything was beautiful and perfect, but I loved debate. I debated all the time. That's what it was. It was debating. Now it's just yelling at each other. That's all it is. It's yelling at each other. And that's not what gets anything done. And it's also kind of a reflection on what's been happening in this country and who's been running it. I mean, it's kept constantly getting worse and worse. When I first got on Twitter, I loved it. I loved the debate. And now the debate is very rare that I get a good debate. It's just rare, and it's kind of sad.
Well, Dan, I'd say I'd offer to have a good debate with you, but we almost always have the same side of the coin. But I'll be happy to debate onions with you, in raw onions on a burger anytime. They don't belong.
They absolutely belong.
See?
Wait. What is this about raw onions don't belong on a burger? I think it's time for you to go, Jess. I'm just playing. Actually, it's time for it's time for everybody to go, because believe it or not, we're out of time. So why don't you guys remind folks where it is that they can hang out with you on social media when you're not on the radio hanging out with me.
Okay, I am on Twitter at Jesse's POV, and you can listen to me Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. on KLRN Radio on the show called Jesse's POV.
And you can find me on Twitter. It's Daniel _KLRN. And I just blocked Jessie because she doesn't like raw onions on her burger.
I knew I forgot to do something. I have to go block her now too. All right. So anyway, for those of you following along, and you've probably known Dan for a while, this is a new account for him. So follow him now. He's been pouting all week because he's down like 4,400 followers.
Yeah, 4,400. That's about right.
All right, I, of course, am Rick Robinson. You can catch up with me live every Sunday through Thursday on America Off the Rails. I'm also here every Tuesday and Thursday on the Jen and Rick Show. And then, of course, we have Friday nights with Robinson and Wright. And then, of course, usually Saturday mornings we have Finding Common Ground with my liberal millennial co-host, Mr. Bryce Robbins, who still happens to be on vacation. The little bugger is in Antigua still, so we will not be doing a live show tomorrow morning. But on that note, folks, we are out. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of your Friday night. I will be back with you here on Sunday night. And don't forget to check out America Off the Rails on crntalk.com every Saturday and Sunday. We're out, folks. Good night. Take care. God bless.